Me again, Alexa Chung, fashion detective, delving deep behind the seams, it was a pun, to show you the truth about the fashion industry and the amazing people who work in it. In this episode, I'm finding out what a trend forecaster is and trying not to steal things from Paul Smith. Having kept his classic brand relevant for over 45 years, Paul Smith has succeeded where many others have failed.
So people in fashion are really sane.
At Business HQ in Covent Garden, a young and talented team work under the ever-enthusiastic guidance of the man himself, driving the brand forward into a bright future.
What is this room then?
This is spring next year, men's clothes and accessories.
I love this.
Yeah, good.
I love that.
And all that, all the
So
colours.
nice. That's my jam, that's my jam.
Peace. This is my suit to travelling.
Bravo.
Look at that.
Oh, it makes me want to be a boy.
Check your bags on the way out. Look, they're from my garden.
Are they?
Yeah. I wanted to be a racing cyclist,
Right.
you know, and it never happened because I had a bad crash. And then I ended up meeting people from the art school in Nottingham. And then I worked as a shop assistant, and then I met a lady who became my girlfriend and now my wife. And she trained at the Royal College of Art in couture fashion.
Right.
And so that was fantastic. So all my teaching was at home on the kitchen table,
Yeah.
you know, how to cut a pattern, how to, you know, put a sleeve in, and the importance of cut and shape. And at 21 I saw Saint Laurent, the first smoking suit.
Wow.
When they walked on and they went like that, and there was little boobies underneath, and it was like because it was very, you know, shocking at the time. We started a little collection. I mean, literally 2 jackets, 4 shirts for men to start with, and then about 20 years ago for women. People refer to Paul Smith as a brand, and it's a bit weird for me.
Yeah,
I kind of think, well, yeah, am I a brand? Yeah, it's written in my underpants, but I mean, well, I'm a watch actually.
Do young people approach you and ask your advice?
All the time, yeah.
What do they want to know?
When I walk around the building with like the students, you know, I said, first of all, you all might want to be designers, but in a way, get that out of your head, because as you walk around the building, I'm going to show you lots of lovely jobs you can do with that skill. There's buying, there's press, there's social media, there's shop design, there's styling, there's management. There's so many great jobs you can get if you go through that fashion system.
Yeah, and they're still creative. You're still like
very creative. Yeah, very creative.
Part of your success has been down to the fact that you've always embraced the new and you've moved along with the times. But is that something that just comes naturally to you as a person? You're just excited about?
Yeah, I'm a very curious person. Whereas a lot of people, I think they leave university or college, and then they have this look, and then it goes on. And unfortunately, a lot of them don't really change from it, and then that's when it starts to get difficult, because you know, fashion is about today and tomorrow. You've never made it, basically.
I've always liked the idea of being a buyer. Getting paid to shop with someone else's credit card sounds like a pretty amazing job to me. Our Google results suggested it is now one of the most desirable positions within fashion. But what is it that these mysterious people actually do? At Selfridge's Oxford Street store, Judd Crain is living the dream as director of women's wear and accessories.
I'm obsessed with clothes, it's like a problem. You can suggest things for me to buy and I'll tell you I can't afford them. Is this in the sale, be honest?
No, it's brand new.
I just love everything. I just love it. So it's a bit of a mystery to me what your job is. Can you explain what you do?
Well, I guess at a very basic level, we just see things we love and we buy them so that other people can buy them.
And then how do you decide which brands go next to the other one? Do they have rules where some brands might not want to sit alongside another competitor?
Well, everyone has ideas of where they want to be, but ultimately what we're interested in is creating an environment for the customer. Yeah. So a lot of times we challenge our brands to really think differently about how they could be portrayed. We're a store that has Chanel just directly across from Rick Owens, which you don't really see in many environments. Yeah. But for us, the idea of putting those two together is that we actually find it stimulates both of those customers. I actually think the best way to gain experience to be a good buyer is to not become a buyer directly. You know, I think to have a background in visual merchandising or a background actually working with customers. We have a few buyers that have come from personal shopping because they actually get really, really close to what customers want.
It's literally my dream job, I think. But actually, my taste in things isn't reflective of what sells.
That's a really interesting thing about it, is it's really interesting to try to force yourself to be objective.
Yeah.
Because it kind of has nothing to do with what you want to wear, in terms of what might sell. However, I think it's so important to have that thing that just hits you emotionally.
Yeah.
Because it will hit other people too.
You're touching on what we're talking about in a broader sense, which is that fashion has a reputation for being like shallow and all about image and da-da-da, but actually when you get to it, the reason people are interested in it, and the reason people have jobs within this industry is because it is emotional for everyone. It's about identity, it's about how you feel, it's about creating a persona.
And I think it's really an art form for some people, and you're kind of like expressing things that are intrinsically personal by what you wear.
These are people's lives hanging up here.
Exactly.
When innovative thinking and technology combine, new industries are born that change the face of fashion forever. And in the late 90s, trend forecasting did exactly that. Global powerhouse WGSN pioneered the market, turning the potential trends of the future into a highly valuable commodity.
Hello. Everyone's looking at asses.
Essentially what we're doing is trend forecasting. So we are going around the world looking at all sorts of cultural influences, from street fashion to what's going on in food, cars, whatever it may be, collecting up all of that information, presenting it to our customers and using that to kind of set a backdrop for how fashion will develop in the future, because all of those things influence the way people want to dress. So essentially it's a website.
Yeah.
And we have, you know, several thousand brands around the world that subscribe to our website, and they all use it in many and varied ways, and they're looking at fashion trends. So we are designing fashion collections, and they're looking at that. They're looking at catwalks, they're looking at street fashion, they're looking at retail trends. We go around the world and look at what's going on in shops and explain that to people. It's a really enormous resource for fashion.
If I'm thinking about what's about to happen or how I'd like to get dressed, anything that makes me feel a bit sick or a bit weird is something that I'm drawn to. And then that's usually because it's different to what I'm accustomed to. Yeah. Often with a Christopher Kane collection, I don't know why him in particular, but it'll come down and I'll be like, I mean, I can appreciate that it's great, but I don't necessarily want to wear it yet. And then suddenly when that season rolls around, I think it's so perfect for how I feel at the time.
It's clever like that. Sometimes I look at some of the things that we do and just think, are we sure about this?
Yeah.
But you trust them, because actually at the time that it's ready to drop, you're ready for it, you know, and you think, oh, no, they're right. Suddenly I feel like wearing that, you know, it's interesting.
And this is men's trends.
This is men's trends.
For when?
Spring, summer 17.
Oh my God, okay.
Yeah.
And so where do you collect ideas from?
Everywhere, really. It's not just like one specific area we go to. We look across the board. It's not just fashion. It's like what influences fashion as well. It's like music or subcultures or it girls, it guys, films, like you said earlier.
The biggest influence on this is partly to do with Cuba, the fact it's open.
Oh, right, yeah, of course, yeah.
And obviously there's a huge influx of tourism to Cuba.
So then when you see that type of influence on, or in shops and in, you know, the world as you go out, do you feel proud?
Yeah, of course.
Cool, Cuba.
This is Sam, who is the denim dude.
Hi, how are you doing, dude?
Nice to meet you.
So this is the denim desk.
Even your mouses.
Yeah, all my sort of denim memorabilia.
Nice. So you're responsible for compiling this entire...
Yeah, everything from like retail I do through to like catwalks, what we're doing right now, which is like the men's SO16 ones. We do trade shows, street style. So obviously, design and stuff, they're looking around on other parts of like the internet as well, but we're doing that like specifically for each category. So I'm looking at everything denim across like Instagram, like Pinterest, Tumblrs, and I'm always looking for like new brands. So like Bliss and Mischief, I'd put them like on the blog as well, which is like our public site, so it's not just like you don't have to have subscription to that. And then I do like an interview with the brand as well to try and give them like some exposure. So
very good. Okay.
Like, brands,
as long as you're looking after them.
Yeah.
But there's no way at school I would have known that this was a job option. It's so fun. Do you take interns?
Fashion used to be really top down. It used to be whatever somebody in Paris said it was, that was what it was, you know. And now, you know, it is kids on the street.
Is that from social media as well?
It is, and they are much more influenced peer-to-peer than they would be from what any couture designer would tell them. You know, it's more important what their mates think. It's harder to be that underground because there's always somebody, you know, communicating that and tweeting it and Instagramming it, whatever it is. It gets out there much quicker, so the influence spreads much
But then
quickly.
does that lend itself to the fashion industry kind of moving into a more do-it-yourself, like a DIY situation, rather than it being this elitist thing?
It is.
Do you think it's an opportunity for people to kind of do a homegrown thing?
I think that's absolutely right, and we were just talking about that. It's almost DIY life right now, you know. If people much younger than me, you know, when I was growing up, you had to get your degree and people were just sort of shoving you in a direction where you had to kind of go to a big organisation and get a proper job, and then people were telling you how to dress. It doesn't work like that now, you know. People don't feel the same constraints. They will decide, create their own careers, and that might be online, they might be bloggers, they might have their own little shop online, they might create their own fashion, create their own music, and they've got means of communicating that to other people that are just not open to us. And you're seeing all these new and interesting designers coming up. It's a real change of guard, I think, at the moment. And I think perhaps maybe we will be looking back and thinking that was when that started.
I can't count, but I think that was episode 4. If you'd like to watch episode 5, subscribe to the British Vogue YouTube channel and it will be laid out for you. You just have to go as a click, don't use the mouse. Next, I head to Paris to talk film with the creator of Dior and meet the minds behind 2 unique Parisian brands. Also, it was an opportunity to eat croissants.